If you're looking for a good cake to make for your birthday, someone else's birthday, or you just want to eat some good ass cake, you've come to the right place, because I'm about to show you how to make a Bahamian rum cake. Let's go!
Are you ready?
Now remember, if you like what you see, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and join the quest. We got all kinds of action going on, man. Come through, let's go. Let's take a look at what you're gonna need to bake this cake. You're gonna want butter, 4 eggs, some pecans that we're gonna chop up, vegetable oil, yellow or golden cake mix, instant vanilla pudding, flour, sugar, granulated of course, dark rum, and of course, a bundt pan. Now you may have noticed some no-name products on this island. Listen, don't at me. We're saving money, okay? Now before we get started with our ingredients, you want to make sure you get your oven preheated to 350 degrees. It's very important. Trust me. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is grease up our bundt pan. Now you can use either cooking spray or butter. I'll be using butter mainly because I love the flavor. It may seem ghetto the way I do it, but don't judge me. So my method is usually to get a nice little piece of butter and pretty much just rub it along the insides of the bundt pan. Get it all lathered up nicely.
Yeah, boy.
And smear it all over the inside. That way our cake doesn't stick to our pan completely. So yeah, I'm gonna just rub this piece of butter all around the bundt pan. And this is gonna add some flavor to the cake as well. That nice buttery coating on top of the glaze that's gonna be mixed with rum.
Give your meat a good old rub.
It's also important to get the centerpiece as well because these cakes do tend to crack from the inside out if you don't grease it properly, or when you try to take the cake out itself, it'll just be a pure nightmare. Trust me, it would not be a good time. Next up, you wanna grab a teaspoon of flour and you're gonna sprinkle it on the inside of your bundt. You wanna layer as much as the base as you can, get it spread out nicely, okay? And then once that's done, you're just going to shake it nice and thoroughly, not too hard, just enough to get a little coating of flour along your base. So next up, what we're gonna need is a cup of pecans. We're gonna get these guys chopped up to layer at the base of our bundt pan. Now you can use a knife to get it chopped, but we're pressed for time, so I'm gonna use my, what do you call these guys? My magic bullet here. Suddenly, I don't know if this was a good idea. Yeah, maybe it's chopping it a bit too fine. We're gonna run this guy over on the cutting board. So we're back at the cutting board after failing tremendously with our magic bullet. So I'm just gonna get these guys chopped up the old school way, which may take some time. It may get a little messy, but it pays off in the end. Now that you have your almonds chopped up, you wanna get them poured into your bundt, and then you're gonna shake it to distribute the chopped pecans along the perimeter. Let me just quickly get it in there. We got a bit of a mess from our magic bullet attempt, but don't worry. Like I said, it's all gonna pay off in the end. So now let's give it a little shake. There we go. Now this is where things get a little less complex. What we're gonna do now is get those 4 eggs. Oh shit. We're gonna crack those 4 eggs into a bowl, okay? Oh my God. Next, you're gonna get your cake mix and pour it all in there. Then you're gonna follow that up with your instant vanilla pudding mix, half a cup of water, half a cup of your rum, and half a cup of your vegetable oil. Now, we're gonna mix it all together. And you'll see it's starting to get that nice creamy texture. Now that we have our cake mix, what we're gonna do is pour it in to the bundt pan. And you wanna make sure you distribute it nice and evenly across the pan, like so. Look at that, it looks so beautiful. Dear God, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. We're gonna give the bundt just a little bit of a shake to make sure it's nice and even, like so. Now what we're gonna do is get this guy baked for 55 minutes. And then about 3/4 of the way through, we're gonna start preparing our glaze. Cheese! That was so hard to film, let me tell you, man. But yeah, we're like more than halfway through. That's gonna sit in there for 55 minutes, and then we're gonna get the glaze going, cover it up, and we'll have ourselves a rum cake. But until then, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? You made it this far, you may as well subscribe. Come on, man, let's go. You're probably wondering, Caramel, why are you making a cake on a cocktail channel? Well, I got an easy answer for that, my friend. That right there is gonna be my birthday cake. Yeah, so I figured if I'm gonna make a cake, why not share it with everyone else and show you guys how to make a good ass rum cake? And trust me, it's gonna be good ass. You may have seen eggs flying all over the place and I may have dropped almost every ingredient I touched. But at the end of the day, that's gonna be a good ass cake. Trust. So it's just about time for us to get started with our glaze. Let's move on over to the stovetop and get boiling. You wanna get medium to high heat on your stovetop, and then we're gonna grab a non-stick pan and get it heated up. To get started with our glaze, we're gonna melt 1/4 pound of butter. Next, you're gonna add a cup of granulated sugar. It's a whole lot of sugar. Bruh. You're gonna follow this up with 1/4 cup of water. So what you want to do is bring this mix to a boil. So I cranked up the heat to high, and then you're gonna stir it consistently for 5 minutes. As you can see, our mix is starting to bubble up. So you want to keep stirring it around. And over time, the glaze will eventually thicken. And that's the texture that we're really aiming for here. So as you can see, the texture really thickened up. Now it has a bit more weight to it, a bit more fluff. It's looking like a real glaze now. All right, so I'm gonna take the glaze off the heat, put it over on the side. Now that our glaze is off the heat, you're gonna add 1/2 cup of your rum. And you're gonna notice a bit of a sizzle. Don't worry, it's fine, it's normal. That's just the chemical reaction of the rum combining with that heat and butter. I don't really know the science of it, but I think I'm onto something. Yeah, so this glaze is looking really good right now. Look at this.
Look at that! Look at it!
That's what I call a glaze right there, man. That's a real good glaze.
Respect it.
So there are various ways to tell whether or not the cake is ready. One is if it's golden at the top. Another is if the sides are pulling away from the edge of the pan. Or if you take a toothpick, or I'm using one of these, well, I guess it's technically a toothpick. You poke it through the cake, and if you don't have any residue on your pick, then it's pretty much cooked all the way through. So this guy's ready to come out now. Now that our cake's ready to go, we're gonna grab it out of the oven and get our glaze poured on top. Now, as soon as you take your cake out of the oven, you wanna grab a small knife or any narrow object, and you wanna run it along the edge of the pan. This is to prevent it from really sticking onto it and to make it easy for the cake to fall out after the fact. Now next, what we're gonna do is take that toothpick we used earlier, and we're gonna punch in a few holes underneath, like a good amount of holes, almost like honeycomb the hell out of this cake. It's gonna release the hot air, but it'll also make it easy for the glaze to travel throughout the cake. That way it's extra spongy and you can really taste that rum all throughout, no matter where you take a bite. So this next step is my favorite part, and it's also the part that makes or break the cake. You're gonna do 3 to 4 phases of glazing the cake. So after the first phase, you're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes so that it can really, I guess, submerge into the cake and just let that flavor travel through. And then you're gonna follow up with another layer. And then after that, 5 minutes, another layer, 5 minutes, and you rinse and repeat until this pan is clear of your glaze. So I'm gonna go ahead and start so you guys can see. So you get a nice little spoon. You just wanna be gracious with it. Spread it around as much as possible. If you ask me, it's a very therapeutic process, this part right here. For such a dangerous cake, it's really a peaceful process to make it, and I really enjoy it. Can you tell I like rum cake? Like, can you actually tell? Because I really do. So I just realized my camera was off, so you guys didn't actually get to see me glazing it properly. My B-roll footage, sorry, I did not hit the record button. It's on now, so I guess I can do one more layer for you guys to see what I was doing exactly, but pretty much I was just taking the spoon and glazing it like so. Yeah, sorry about that. I totally forgot to hit the record button, but it is what it is. Regarding the earlier portion with the knife, what I pretty much did was I ran the knife through here, and I pretty much separated the cake from the edges, and then I also ran it along the middle, just so you guys can see it on the B-roll. So now we're gonna do our second layer. So we're pretty much gonna repeat the process all over again. Get your spoon in there, and we're gonna glaze, get the middle, cover that little space so the rum travels through. Right there. This, my friends, is a Bahamian rum cake. It's almost ready to go.
One eternity later.
Okay guys, this is the make or break moment. It's time to flip her over. Now, this will either be a perfect rum cake or it will be a disaster, and I'm not gonna edit it out. I cannot afford to edit it out, so I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers that this turns out to be a fantastic cake. So here we go, let's go. So what I'd like to do is put my board or whatever surface I'm using over top of the bunt, and then carefully turn it over so I don't damage the cake. So let's see what happens. Hopefully it just slides out.
Oh my God! Wow!
Oh my God. Oh my goodness, this looks fantastic. Okay, so I can already see one issue, and it's that the almonds didn't cover the entire top of the cake, but for the most part, this looks fantastic. Let me get that B-roll going. So yeah, just like that, our Bahamian rum cake is complete. We've done it. We tackled the unknown. I was fully inexperienced with baking on a YouTube video. Now, if I didn't have to worry about the constraints of the video, I probably would have made it a lot, like, it would have looked a lot better. I'd be more focused, but I was pretty much concerned about getting all the camera angles right and so on and so forth. But for the most part, this is fantastic. It's great for what it is. And if you're not gonna use almonds to top it, you won't get all of that chaos on the top either, so it's fine. And honestly, that isn't even really chaos, man. It has some character to it. There's a lot of character in this cake. But what I can guarantee you is what's inside. It's so good, man, let me tell you. I've made this cake so many times. I've easily made this cake, I wanna say like 12 times already. It's so good. You gotta try the recipe. And if you do give it a shot, let me know what you think. If you like it, hit that comment section up and say, yo, this cake was flames. But if not, then I can also take that too, because honestly, you know, everyone has their own, I guess, palate. So, you know, some may like it, some may not. But yeah. This was fun. This was a good time. I enjoyed making a cake for you guys. It was a good recipe. I'm gonna leave this video and do some stuff. I can't eat this cake right now because unfortunately I do want to save it for my birthday, so I'll see you guys for my next video. Until then, subscribe.